Hello there students, welcome to another video of our series Motion in One Dimension. In today's video we will cover or we will derive the equations of motion. The average acceleration is given by the rate of change in velocity. Let's write that down. So the average acceleration is given by the rate of change in velocity. Alright. Or it is given as delta V over delta T. But we know that if our acceleration is constant, then the average acceleration will equal the instantaneous acceleration. So it means that we can drop the subscript. Okay. Another way that we can write delta V over delta T is the final velocity minus the initial velocity all over the final time minus the initial time. If we take time or the initial time to equal to 0, then it means that we can remove initial time from our equation, leaving us with just the time. Okay, I'll use this equation and I'll just drop it down over here. So acceleration is equal to velocity final minus velocity initial all over time. Okay, if we multiply the time on both sides of the equation, we'll have acceleration multiplied by time is equal to velocity final minus velocity initial. Okay, and if we solve for the final velocity, or if we add both sides of the equation by the initial velocity, it means that velocity initial will be positive plus acceleration multiplied by time. I'll just write my final velocity on the left hand side to make things a bit clearer. But it still means the same thing. So that will give us velocity initial plus acceleration multiplied by time. And this is our first equation of motion. As discussed in the previous video, the average velocity can be given by velocity initial plus velocity final over 2. The average velocity can be given by velocity initial plus velocity final all over 2. Another way that as we've discussed in our previous video, you can watch that so that you can be all caught up in this video. Another way that we can represent the average velocity is the displacement over the time interval. And so if we equate these two equations, velocity initial plus velocity final all over 2. Remember, we said that delta t can also be represented as t final minus t initial. But we said that we're going to take our initial time to be 0. So if we take our initial time, this will leave us with our final time, which you can just represent as t. So I'll just put this t in the place of delta t. We can just rewrite this as half multiplied by v initial plus v final. And this will be the displacement over the time. Alright, and if we solve for the displacement, or if we multiply both sides of the equation by t, this will give us our displacement equaling to v initial plus v final, where t multiplies with everything. Okay, I'll just move this to the top so that we have space. Remember that we calculated our first equation of motion where the velocity final is equal to the velocity initial plus acceleration multiplied by time. And we said that this was our first equation of motion. This means that we can substitute velocity final into this equation. Let's just do that. This will give us velocity initial plus velocity initial plus acceleration multiplied by time, where t multiplies with everything. We've just substituted velocity final into this equation. Okay. And so we can see that velocity initial plus velocity initial will give us 2vi plus at, where time multiplies with everything. We can now multiply the t that we have outside of the bracket with everything inside the bracket. This will give us 2vit plus at squared. Okay, and if we multiply a half with everything that we have inside the bracket, we'll have half multiplied by 2 will give us vit plus half at squared. And we have now derived our second equation of motion. I'll move it over there to make space. To solve for the third and final equation of motion, if we take the first equation, let me just write it down over here, with vi plus at. If we square on both sides of the equation, this will give us the final velocity squared is equal to the initial velocity plus acceleration multiplied by t, where everything is squared. And so it means that we can just drop the brackets here. We realize that we have two brackets that are the same, that are multiplying against or with each other. So if we multiply vi with itself, it will give us vi squared. And if we multiply the initial velocity with the acceleration multiplied by time, it will give us vi at. And if we multiply at with vi, it will give us the initial velocity multiplied by acceleration multiplied by time. And if we multiply at by itself, it will give us at squared. But we know that if we multiply at by itself, we can also represent it as a squared and t squared. Let us now add velocity initial multiplied by acceleration multiplied by time with itself. And so viat plus viat gives us 2 viat plus a squared multiplied by t squared. If we take out a common factor of 2a from these two values, this will give us, remember we said that we're taking a common factor of 2a. This means that we'll be left with velocity initial multiplied by time, and on this side we'll be left with half a t squared. If you observe closely, or if you look, you realize that this equation for our displacement is equal to what we have inside these brackets, meaning that we can substitute the displacement in the place of what we have over here. This leaves us with velocity initial squared plus 2a multiplied by our displacement. And this is our third and final equation of motion. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for more.